solve it. I'm going to mode 5-3 it. 1 equals, negative 10 equals, and 24 equals. I get x equals 6 and x equals 4. So x sub 1 equals 6 and x sub 2 equals 4. Number 2, to solve this one, what I have to do is work backwards. So the opposite of squaring that is square rooting it. I can do this rather quickly, but the opposite of squaring a number is square rooting it. So I square root this side, and I square root this side. When you add the square root, you have to add a plus minus, root 39. So right now I know it can only be that choice. Working further, x minus 2 equals, so I would add 2. So that would give me 2 plus or minus root 39. And 3x would equal that. Divide both sides by 3, and that gives me choice C. Number 2. To do number 2, again, I'm going to square root both sides. But when I square root to negative 64, that gives me z plus 8 equals plus or minus. And the square root of negative 64 is 8i. Then I just subtract 8 from both sides. I throw a negative 8 up in front. So there's my two answers. Negative 8 plus minus 8i. Number 4. I'm going to mode 5-3 it. But the first thing I want to do is bring that negative 6 over to this side. So that's going to be plus 6. And now when I mode 5-3 it, I'm going to type in 1 equals, negative 6 equals, and positive 6 equals. That's going to give me two answers. X sub 1 is going to equal 3 plus root 3. And the other answer is going to be x sub 2 is 3 minus root 3. So there's my two answers, 3 plus minus root 3. Solve this for t. So the first thing I want to do is multiply the 10 to both sides. So that's going to give me 10s equals gt squared. Then I'm going to divide both sides by g. And when I do that, that's going to give me t squared equals that. So now the opposite of squaring is square root. The square root of t squared equals just t. And then that's going to give me the square root of 10s over g. Now I can rewrite this as the square root of 10s over the square root of g. And to rationalize this, I have to multiply it by the square root of g over the square root of g. Laws of radicals says that this is going to be the square root of 10gs all over g. And that's my final answer. Number 6, basically I just want to mode 5-3 it. When I mode 5-3 this, I type in 1 equals, negative 36 equals, and 324 equals. And I don't get x sub 1 or x sub 2. When I mode 5-3 it, I get x equals 18. What that means is that x sub 1 and x sub 2 equals 18. And this is what we call a perfect square trinomial. Notice I can square root this back end here. So the equation has two, these are real, has two distinct rational solutions. Two distinct rational solutions. Now, it's actually one distinct rational solution, and that is a double solution. If I were to factor it, it would give me x minus 18 times x minus 18. That's my one double rational solution. Name 3 ordered pairs, so I have a 3, negative 3. I have a negative 1, 4, and I have a 1, negative 5. They all line up, so that would be choice B. This one here, number 8, that's the distance and the midpoint. The distance formula is going to be the difference of the x's squared plus the difference of the y's, sort of like the slope formula, squared. Let's see. So square root 13, square root negative 1 minus minus 8. Negative 1 minus minus 8 is 8 minus 1, which is 7, and I square that. Then I add 13 minus 10, which is 3, square that. So when I figure this out, that's going to be 49 plus 9 equals the square root of 49 plus 9, or the square root of 58. No decimal, it wants the exact answer. Coordinates of the midpoint is a big coordinate all over 2. And all I have to do is add these values. You add the x values first. So negative 8 plus negative 1 gives me negative 9. Then I add the y values. 10 plus 13 gives me 23, and that's your answer. That's your midpoint. First thing I have to do is move this 2x over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And that's going to give me quasi-standard form. So that's going to give me negative 2x plus 3y equals negative 6. Now all I want to do is when x equals 0 is to hide that negative 2x and solve this little equation. So I divide both sides by 3. So when x equals 0, I get y equals negative 2. Now, to find out when y equals 0, I'm going to cover up the y value. Eliminate it. And I'm going to solve that. I divide both sides by negative 2. In this case, x equals 3. So my coordinate's going to be 0, negative 2, and 3, 0. And then I'm just going to choose the line tool and connect those dots. Vertical line drawn through this point. So that is a flux. Vertical line is x equals negative 6, but it wants to know where that vertical line will intersect the x-axis. So the vertical line is going to intersect the x-axis at x equals negative 6. Y equals 0. Trick question. Usually they ask for the equation. Circle with the center of negative 3, 2. So I go left 3, up 2. And its radius is 2. Its radius is 2. So I go right 2, I go up 2, I go left 2, and I go down 2. And then I just go ahead and I graph that circle. it wants the center radius equation of the circle, so it's going to be opposite square. So it's going to be x plus 3, the opposite of minus 3, squared, plus y minus 2 squared equals the radius squared, 4. Number 12, it wants me to actually get the center and radius of the circle. There's a little shortcut for this. I just take half of that and half of that and throw it into my coordinate. So half of negative 6 is negative 3, but remember it's going to be the opposite of that, so I'm going to put 3 in my coordinate. Then half of positive 6 is 3, but I put the opposite of that in my coordinate. Notice it said equal to 9, but I took half of that, so I'm going to have to square that. What's 3 times 3? That's 9. What's negative 3 times negative 3? That's 9 as well. And when I add this up, that gives me 0 plus 9, that gives me 9. That's not my radius. My radius is the square root of that. So my radius is going to equal 3. So I choose choice B with my coordinate here, 3, negative 3, and my radius as 3. This one's a little bit more involved. Notice there's leading coefficient. So what you're going to have to do for this one is divide everything by 8. So I divide every item by 8. So that's going to give me x squared plus x plus y squared. Now I can deal with it. Minus 8y, and that's going to be 1/4, but I'm going to subtract it from the other side to get negative 1/4. And I'm going to take half of this 1 in front of the x. I'm going to take half of this negative 8 in front of the y. And that's going to give me my coordinate. Well, half of 1 is 1/2, and then I put the opposite in. Half of negative 8 is negative 4, but I put the opposite in. And now to find my radius, I take this and I square it. 1/2 times 1/2. Negative 1/2 times negative 1/2 is positive 1/4. And then 4 times 4 is 16. Notice when I add these all up, that's just going to give me 16. So my radius is the square root of 16. And that's my center, and then this is my radius. So it tells me I have a circle whose center at negative 9, 3. So I go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I go up 1, 2, 3, and that's the center. Then it tells me that it's tangent to the x-axis. So let's see what that means. That means it's going to just touch the x-axis. So right now I know that my center is at negative 9, positive 3, and this here radius from this spot to this spot is also 3. So the equation is going to be opposite plus opposite equals the radius squared. The domain, all the domain is the x values. But you don't repeat it in the brace. All the ranges are the y values. But you don't repeat it. You don't repeat it. Eight, negative 3, 3. Is it a function? No. The reason is because an x value repeated. Notice, I have x equals 6 2 times. That means it's not a function. Is this graph a function? The answer is no. It fails the vertical line test in almost every place. So no, it is not a function. The domain, notice, my furthest leftmost x value is negative 3. And it's a closed circle at that negative 3, so it's going to be bracket, negative 3, comma, and it goes to the right forever, infinity. The range, it points down forever, so that's negative infinity, and it points up forever, that's also pointing up to positive infinity. 16, did I just do that? Yeah, it's the same problem. 17, find g of negative 4. So I'm supposed to take that negative 4 and plug it in for x. So that's going to be negative 4 squared plus 4 times negative 4 plus 1. So that's going to be 16, negative 16, minus 16, plus 1. That's negative 32 plus 1 is negative 31. This time I have to plug in 2m minus 3. Getting a little long. So I have to take this negative 3 times something plus 4 and I have to plug in the 2m minus 3. That's going to give me negative 6m plus 9 plus 4. Or negative 6m plus 13. They want me to solve this for y and write it in f of x form. So I'm going to solve it for y. So basically I'm going to minus x from both sides. When I do that, I'm left with 5y equals 13. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So that's going to give me 13 minus x over 5. And now you just want me to plug a 0 in for this. So that's just going to give me 13 minus 0 over 5 or 13 over 5. Good. All right. The domain, which the function is going up, increasing. So notice, this is a fake arrow. Those arrows actually point to the right. So it's increasing from negative infinity all the way up to 3, negative 3. So it's increasing from negative infinity to negative 3. But whoop, it starts to increase again on this portion. So it starts to increase again at 3 to positive infinity. However, you have to read this. It says use a comma. I usually put a union symbol in there, but it would mark it wrong. It says use a comma to separate the intervals where it's increasing. Find the intervals where it's decreasing. So it's decreasing from this spot down to this spot, or from negative 3 to 3. I know that looks like a coordinate, but it is not. This is an x value, this is an x value. So they want me to match it. So first I want to find the slope. 18 minus 0 over 0 minus negative 9. That's going to give me 18 over 9. So slope equals 2 over 1. If the slope is 2 over 1, that means my standard form is going to be 2x minus 1y equals some value. I have to figure out what that value is. So I'm going to take one of these coordinates. I'm going to take 0, 18 and plug it in. 0 for the x, 18 for the y. So that's going to give me 0 minus 18. Bingo. Let's see. 2x minus y equals negative 18. It's going to be choice C. This basically says y equals -7. All I have to do is go to y value -7, plot my dot, graph my horizontal line. There's my graph. Now I want to know the domain. The domain is -infinity to +infinity. The range, however, is going to be a brace, -7. You have to be careful with that one. Wants me to graph this. Instead of rewriting it in y equals mx plus b form, I'm just going to do my yin-yang and find the intercepts. So all I do is cover up that 4x and divide both sides by 3, and that means my y value will be 4. So I can graph that 0, 4 right there. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hide the 3y, and that means I'm going to divide both sides by -4 to solve for x. And that's going to give me -3. So I go to -3, 0, pop my dot, then I'm going to graph it. The domain of that is -infinity to +infinity. The range of that is also -infinity to +infinity if it asks me for the range. 24 wants me to graph 5y minus 3x equals 0. Well, I'm going to do this one the old-fashioned way. I'm actually going to solve it. So I'm going to add the 3x to both sides. That's going to give me 5y equals 3x. I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And that's going to give me y equals 3/5 x. So I start at 0, 0. And then from there I go up 1, 2, 3 over 5. And I'm going to graph my line. The domain of that is -infinity to +infinity. Because it's slanting, the range is also going to be -infinity to +infinity. Find the slope. So when I do y minus y, I get 0. When the y's are the same, the slope is going to be 0. I go to 3, -2. I go to 3, -2, place my dot, and then my slope is down 1 over 2. From there I go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. Do your best, connect the dots. Standard form. So when it says standard form, that means ax plus by equals c. I find the slope. 5 minus 4 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 3 plus 2. So the slope is 1/5. Having the slope, I can go right to this. It's going to be x minus 5y equals some number. I have to figure out what that number is. All I do is choose one of these coordinates. I'm going to choose 3, 5. I'm going to throw x equals 3 and y equals 5 into that little equation. That's going to give me 3 minus 25. And I think 3 minus 25 is -22. And there's my equation. X minus 5y equals -22. Vertical line through that coordinate. That's a flux. So it's going to be x equals whatever the x value is, -1. And that's my equation. X equals -1. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals, the slope is 2, plus 14. Parallel to this, so they wanted it in slope intercept form and standard form. It's a little quicker to go to standard form because I'm just going to copy this part. So it's going to be x plus 5y equals, not 7. We got to find out what it equals. So I take that -2, 5, and I plug it in for the x, and I plug in the 5 for the y. So it's going to give me -2 plus 25, and that's going to equal positive 23. So there's my standard form. X plus 5y equals 23. Now, to put it in y equals mx plus b form, I have y equals, and the slope of this is -1 over 5. X. Now, to find out what the b is, I just divide both sides by 5. I do that cover-up method. That's going to give me 23 over 5. Plus 23 over 5. Thank you.